Is Paul George delusional? That's the question we want to ask each other. Is Paul George delusional? I am inclined to say yes. To be honest, I am inclined to say yes. Paul George is a player who self-admittedly said he can no longer be the number one option on a championship winning team. So, in my opinion, Paul George, who is a 34-year-old nine-time All-Star, has pretty much just admitted to himself and to the public that he is not a superstar. He's just admitted that basically. He's admitted he's not a superstar and that he's a second option. And to be honest, at the Clippers last season, he was pretty much a third option at times because it was Kawhi. You know, if everyone's fit, it's Kawhi, James Harden, then Paul George, is what it was looking like. So he's the third option who was apparently trying to negotiate the same amount as Kawhi, who's the first option. You know, I can't say I blame the Clippers for not wanting to extend the deal. Because Paul George is not worth what he was asking for. What was he asking for initially? Was it 3 years, 150 million? You know, he's not worth 50 million. In my opinion, maybe I'm old school, but 50 million for me is for a guy who can damn near guarantee you a ring. You don't spend 50 million for a second or third option. That's insane. To me. To be honest, that is insane. And he's going to sign, he signed for the Philadelphia 76ers. Likelihood is he'll be a third option there as well. If everyone's fit, you'll have MVP center Joel Embiid and another all-star in Tyrese Maxey, who's been at the 76ers, for a while and knows their systems, knows their teams, knows their plays. He'll probably be the second option. And then Paul George, who's just come in, he'll be the third option. But I think really Oklahoma City have absolutely fleeced the Clippers for this. The Clippers gave the Thunder so much, and the Clippers have won absolutely nothing with it. They've given up so many picks. They've given up, years of their future for Paul George, and they've won nothing. Which is for me why I say no player is bigger than the team. Paul George had a no trade clause, which giving a player like Paul George a no trade clause is ridiculous because Paul George, a guy who's never won an MVP, while he was at OKC and the Clippers, was nowhere near winning an MVP. It's not like he was a fringe player. It's not like giving a Joel Embiid a no trade clause. He's an MVP and has been on the cusp of being an MVP many times. Paul George has never really been at that level. I know early on in his career when he was dominating at Indiana, we thought, okay, if this guy can, keep progressing, he could potentially get there. He could potentially get there, and he did progress, and he's shown glimpses, or more than glimpses. He's a good player. He's one of the better players in the league, no doubt. But there's a difference between being that $50 million player a year, $50 million a year player, and being a great second option, a great third option for a team that aims to win a championship. And I think that's what the Clippers wanted to do, but injuries ruined them, man. And we'll talk about Kawhi another time. But Kawhi's the number one option on that team, and he's been injured, and he's out of the Team USA. But like I said, we'll talk about that another time. Like I said, I'd be super interested to know what you guys think about Paul George, about his career, about where he's landed at the Philadelphia 76ers. If he's, a bit delusional. There's a part of me that definitely understands that as a player you need to negotiate the best deal you can for yourself. 100% understand that. There's definitely a part of that. But when that happens, you need to know when not to push it. I think he pushed it, and that's why he's at Philadelphia now. And I'm not saying Philadelphia that's necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, they've got an MVP center and an all-star guard. He's going to a great team. He's not going to a team like Detroit who's in a rebuild and he's going to be asked to carry them to a championship because Paul George's not got that in him. You know, he couldn't do it at Indiana. You know, not many players can do that, especially the way the NBA is now at the moment. Not many. You're not going to be able to often get one player to carry you to a championship. You saw it this past season with the Celtics. You know, you had Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, a number of guys. There wasn't just one guy carrying the team. At any moment, the Celtics could look to any of these guys to get them a bucket, to make a stop, to put in 110% on defense. But it's very interesting because I would be very interested to know what will be Paul George's legacy as well. A guy who, you know, overpromised and underdelivered, or a guy who was a great businessman who, you know, secured the bag for himself. You know, that's the same. You know, people could also see it that way. But that being said, guys,